The longer we live, the quicker the days seem to pass. How troublesome that is when we live forever. That's by Honorable Scythe Curie. Um, in the book Scythe, that was, her character, she said that. So I've been reading this book. It's called Scythe, and it's about a society where everyone lives forever, and they figured out, the technology to, continue preserving their lives for as long as they want. And because of that, they have to enforce these things called scythes to carry out death, like to enforce death so that the world doesn't overpopulate and, to maintain order. And excuse me, I know my lips are chapped. Sometimes I'm not on it, don't say nothing about it. Don't say nothing. Just pretend it's not there. But yeah, let's get into it. So, and by the way, I've been reading this book over like several months, give or take a year or so. I just got back into reading, and I have the other books. I knew it was an interesting book, but I didn't put time aside. Too busy scrolling, too busy, but not anymore. So, thanks be to God. Anyways, this book, it seems to be against the concept of immortality. That days blur together. It's more so for the Scythes than the civilians, because I'll get into it. Life is losing meaning. People stop striving towards things because they're just living for so long that their ambition goes. They think that they've learned all that they need to learn. They don't have any worries and are living aimlessly. The Scythes, they have to enforce that death, as I said, so that the world doesn't overpopulate and to maintain order. And the only way a Scythe can die is if they kill themselves. This is not a utopia, though. It sort of presents itself like one at first, but it's clearly not. Since they can't really die unless death is enforced, their sense of purpose eventually fades away. I mentioned that, but remember, I previewed before I started reading what I wrote. So, religions weren't really talked about in the book besides one where they worship sound. It was something called tonus, and it's like they're seeking the best tone from a tuning fork, and it had an effect on the body, had an effect on the mind, but it was temporary. And really, it was a pointless endeavor for them to even be seeking something like that. It's like, it was almost like mocking New Age stuff. Yeah, the people in this book were marketed as immortal, but clearly we're not. They're just capable of living much longer. And that goes for the Scythes as well. What if what we know about our universe is true? We know that eventually there'll be a time where the sun does its thing and everyone would die. So, that's what we were taught. So the fact that people abandon their concern for death and where their souls go it's ridiculous. They've been deceived into thinking that they have all the time that they want to indulge into whatever their heart's desires. Yet, death was never conquered by man. Only Jesus did that. And eventually, they'd have to face God and be judged for lifetimes and lifetimes of sins. They've been lulled into a state of complacency. And it's funny that I got to that point now, back to this word, because I actually did a video, my previous video, on complacency. But I mean, if you want to check it out, you can. But anyways, if you don't know what complacency is, it's a feeling of contentment or self-satisfaction, especially when coupled with an unawareness of danger, trouble, or controversy. So yeah, they were complacent. You know what the word means now. You know what I'm saying. These Scythes, they vary in their morals, and many think that they really will never die if they themselves don't choose to. And that's just not true, because the keys of death have not been handed over to man, but to Jesus. In all their efforts, they've only prolonged the inevitable. The wages of sin is death, and we all have to pay it one day. And how we live our life determines where we go once our time is up. Do not think for a second, and this is now a different point. We're off, like, hold on. Okay, so tying this into our reality, not this fictional story, I want to urge you to realize that you shouldn't think for a second that you can live however you want and not have any consequences to that. Like, we see maybe many people prospering, and maybe rappers or something, and you're doing all these illicit activities, all these different sinful acts, pretty much, and they live a fulfilling life, and they do all these things, and eventually they pass away, and it seems as though they oh my goodness, bro, sorry, my brain blanks out sometimes, but basically they think it appears as though they never had any consequences to what they did. But even if you don't receive that in this life, you will receive it in the life to come, which is your eternity. Okay, so the main thing that we should be doing is loving each other and loving God, because there we find purpose. If you're not loving God above all things and loving others unconditionally, then you could be striving in your own efforts to be good, but if you're not seeking God, if you're not loving him above all things and striving to be like him and striving to know of him, then what you're doing is pointless. Like, without love, you're not going to make it. And the world has made it seem that if you accept everything and don't hold other people accountable for, how do I say this? Let me put it like this. They say you can drink, you can smoke, but do it responsibly. You can have sex in all the types of ways that you want. Just do it in the comfort of your own home and with consent. It's like accepting things. This is a weird way, because, like, this part I don't have written down. This is just what I'm being led to say. I don't have this written down. But I might get back to that in a later point in this video. I want to just stick with what I have right now, and then we can circle back. So Jesus wants a relationship with you. He wants to be your friend. He wants to bless you. He wants to free you from your struggles. He wants to shape your character, the way you think, your actions. He wants to heal you. He wants to teach you things, and he wants to love you. And you might be like, what does that even mean when we say that? Well, it's like him giving you a revelation of his faithfulness in your life. It's like him blessing you with that desire that you've been holding in your heart for so long. It's like he can even just tell you straight up. And he already has through his word and through his children of God. And even by his own mouth, he can do that. I want to say, if you want to hear God for yourself, you have to seek him out. The Bible says in Jeremiah 29:13, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. He promises you that. And his word never falls to the ground. Okay. You may think, some of you, that he's ignoring you. That he's a God that just sits on his throne all day, listening to your prayers and treating you like spam calls. No. He's very intentional on how he does things. And if your hearts are not all in, why should he speak? He already spoke. He spoke this world into existence. He spoke to the men and women of God that helped document what we know today as the Bible. And through it, he spoke to you, telling you about himself, about what he wants to do in your life, and offering you something we all didn't deserve. So, if you want to hear from God, if you want to know of him, you need to seek him out genuinely. You need to seek him out genuinely, earnestly, and he will.